Hello and welcome. It's Tracy Daviero here. I'm coming to you from the back seat of my truck today. We just do what we do, right? So welcome to our Facebook Live for Monday. I'm happy to have you here. And just had an appointment with my mother-in-law today. We're out and about with a couple of us, and so I said I'm just going to, I'm going to visit you guys here and just sit in the car and finish my live while they're out doing whatever they need to do. So we are definitely virtual. We can do this from anywhere. So hopefully this gives you some decent light. So today we are talking about taking time off in your business. When you're getting started as a VA, it's often something that we don't think about. First of all, you're setting things up, you're getting excited to get clients, you are sort of moving to fill your day as much as you can. And so we talk about setting things like boundaries and procedures and office hours and all that kind of thing. But one of the things that rarely comes up is actually taking time off. And recently I've had a couple of VAs who are in my circle, that I've been hearing about, who have been really, really sick. And so we had terrible flus and that kind of thing going around this winter. Touch wood, we didn't get any of them in our house. But when you get sick, sometimes you might even have to, be hospitalized or on medication or something like that. So taking time off unexpectedly like that is something that you really want to be able to plan for in your business. Planning for holidays and that kind of thing is also super important because you want to be able to fit those things in. I remember whenever I started working and being my own boss, right? Working from home, being a VA, and just never really scheduled like 2 weeks off, and when you have a job, you are always looking to the next vacation that you're going on, or even just, having several days off, say around the holidays or when the kids are home or over Christmas or anything. And for a long time, I worked right through the Christmas holidays. I used to work with, independent business owners, so they were solopreneurs, and I worked with them, and they were on their own. Oftentimes my clients were single. They didn't have families. They were younger people, younger professionals. And so when I would ask if they were, I would always say, who's taking off what time for Christmas? I would ask my clients, and they would say some clients would be off, some clients wouldn't be. But there were always at least a few of them who said, no, I don't, I'll be working right through the holidays. And so, sort of the 23rd or the 24th through New Year's Eve, right? So it's sometimes spans 10 days there. And so I would end up working because I thought I had to. And the message that I want to put through to you today is talking about being responsible to your clients and not for your clients. I that was something that I got into for a long time, where I just worked through the holidays because I thought I couldn't take any time off. It didn't make any sense to me. And holidays aside, like vacations and stuff, but if I was home, I may as well be working. And although it's a good it's a good sense. It's a good work ethic to have. You actually also always need your time off. So when the couple of years went by and I had, I probably had 5 good clients, and 2 of them would tell me they were working and 3 of them told me they were taking it off. There I was sitting there waiting for work from 2 people. And sometimes I didn't even get it because they would just wake up one morning and decide that they weren't, they didn't have any coaching clients to talk to, or they didn't need to book appointments or anything like that. And so it was a real challenge for me to then say, well, why am I here? Who am I sitting here for? And my husband and son were home, and I wasn't able to leave the house for, the full day, or I couldn't go away for a couple of days or something because I had made this arrangement with my clients that I would actually be working. So when I did that I think I did that 2 years in a row. I've been doing this 21 years, so it's, it's a long time. But when I did that for about 2 years, I just decided at the end one year, I said, I'm not doing this again. And I told the clients who had been, supposedly working through the holidays, I said to them, we're not going to do this next year. Let's just all take the time off. And that's the way it's going to be. So what the important message is that you are responsible to your clients and not for their businesses. They are the ones who are responsible for their businesses. And so you need to be able to book time off. And when you are working with a number of people, it's not just a matter of putting in a requisition to say, okay, I'm going to be off, and then having your boss approve it. When you're working with multiple clients, it's almost like having multiple bosses. And so it's important to recognize that you have to have a procedure, or you have to have, a rule, basically a boundary around the way that you do things. And so it's really important for you to set your own time off and then have your clients be informed of it. So what I used to do every month when I did my billing is I would let them know. I build retainers at the beginning of the month. So today's the first of the month. I would have put an invoice out to my clients today and sent them their invoice for the coming month. And in that email, I would say to them, or on the first of the month, I would send them an email and say, I will be out of the office these days this month. And so sometimes I just booked things out, for appointments or places I was going or something like that. But if I was going to be out for, say, a full afternoon or something like that, I would let my clients know ahead of time. I'd say I'm out of town at a conference for these 3 days, or I'm out for the afternoon on the 11th and the 17th, or, in the morning of the 10th, whatever it is. And so I always did that because I felt that then we could work the workload around things. And so maybe that's not always necessary, but for my clients, I was really their only support. So it was just me and them in a lot of cases. So it was important that, if I'm going to be out the morning of the 10th, well, don't send me any work that we expect to get done. We need to, be working on that on the 8th and 9th. Okay. So one of the things that you'll recognize too, and as I was telling you about the Christmas holiday story, clients take time off all the time. They take their time off. They are independent business owners just like we are. So we need to put ourselves up on that. It's still talking about being the CEO of your business. We need to put ourselves there too and say, I am, able to take time off whenever I want. The big thing around that is just the communication. So you just want to make sure that you are able to tell them and that they understand when it is that you're going to be there. So a couple ways that you can actually take time off, because sometimes it's just not a matter of we don't do any work that day, or we don't, say if you're taking a vacation, you need to make sure that the client work is going to be looked after, because of course if you go away too often and things don't get done, your client will probably want to look for someone else to work with. So you want to try to make it so that you are looking at, you're looking after their work, even though you're not actually physically doing it. So one way you can do that is to find a colleague who can help you. And what I found particularly helpful, I knew my stuff really well. I knew my systems, I knew my procedures and that kind of thing. So if I needed to, we took a 10-day holiday a few years ago. And part of it was on a cruise ship and part of it was at Disneyland or Walt Disney World. So, when you're on, standing in the lineup for whatever the Space Mountain, I'm not going to be checking my email or making sure that a launch is going to go off well. So it's important to know that, when you are available, if you can check in with somebody, then you're able to do that. So what I could do was I could actually talk to somebody on the phone and say, if a client had to process a payment or if my colleague had to process a payment, I knew how to do that. I would say, click here, do this, da-da-da-da. So knowing your stuff, knowing your steps to do everything is really important. And so that's always been really helpful for me when I'm out of the office, because if I can just pick up my phone like I have now and say, okay, go here, click on this. Do you see this? This is what we're supposed to do. Put in this number and click, publish or submit or whatever it is. And so knowing your stuff is really, really important. The second thing is documenting things. If you are going to be away, you want to be able to have procedures written down for people. And I love procedures. I have them for most things that I do in my business. I certainly have them for things that I need other people to do. And how do you do a procedure? All you have to do is go and do the thing. So say if I didn't have a procedure for taking a client's payment from Infusionsoft, which is the system that I use, I would just go through that process and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, write down those things that I need to get, this 10 steps or the 20 steps or the 5 steps, whatever it is, and then label that document as your procedure document to process a payment in Infusionsoft. So when you document those things, it makes it easier for you to be out of the office, because then you know that you can actually send that document to somebody and then they're able to look after things. Or as they say, if you're going away on a 10-day stint, I remember I went also on a 5-day mastermind with some colleagues many years ago now, I think it seems. And so I left all of my procedures with my VAs. I had 3 VAs who were subbing for me at the time. And I gave them each responsibilities, and they had documentation where they could do things. And then what I did was I checked in every morning. I checked in for, in the morning to say, how's everything going? Everything's good. I would just give them a quick phone call and say, or text or email or whatever it is, and just say, if you have any questions, then let me know. So being able to check in is another thing that's really important too. If you're not able to, like when we were on the cruise ship or when we were standing in line at Space Mountain, and I wasn't able to check in, then you have to be able to, understand that somebody, you have to leave somebody in charge for that period of time. And that's what I did. And I actually just covered too for an old client, her new VA went away on her son was getting married on a cruise. And so for 3 days she's like, and I think they were cruising, and then the wedding was in Mexico, and then they were cruising back or something. And so she had a lot of not available time that and she couldn't trust the Wi-Fi. And so, I stepped in for her, and I just said, we talked about a few things before she went away. I knew the procedures that she had to, take care of while she was gone, and I looked after them every day. So that's the way you kind of do things. And yes, it's going to cost you a little bit of money, maybe to pay somebody to look after things, but whatever you can do, I've always been a proponent of whatever you can do ahead of time, get done ahead of time, and whatever needs to be done on those days. And usually it's running payments or say signing new clients, right? Like sending out agreements and getting people to come on board, especially in business coaches. Sometimes, that's, those are the time sensitive things. So, but if it's in terms of a newsletter or something, generally you can, push deadlines and timelines for those kinds of things. So whatever you can do. So I hope those tips are helpful for you today. So find somebody who can cover for you. I'll do this. Document your procedures and check in if you can. The checking in piece I find really helpful. I think, you do want to be on vacation, but it is your business. And so you want to make sure that your business is still standing whenever you leave, whenever you come back. So, if you can do the check-in, that's really great. If you can't check in daily, once, you just check in once. You're on vacation, okay? But just it gives you peace of mind too. And if you can't check in daily, then see if you can check in a couple of times while you're away, and hopefully that will help out too. So, all right, I hope that gives you some good tips. Taking time off in your business. Thank you for being here in my mother-in-law's laneway in the back of my truck, and I'll see you next week. Take care.